Fortunately, this doesn't really happen very often that I can think of, but when it does, sometimes I wonder why it's difficult for some folks to understand what it's like to have been neglected, whether it be as a child, which in my opinion is the worst, being neglected at home, being neglected in your career development, whether through fault of your own or because your organization isn't very organized with those things. And to that kind of dilemma, I like to sum it up with one very simple phrase. The consequence of neglect, the cost of neglect, is loss of enjoyment of life. And if you don't get it, I would like for you to think about it for a second. How did I arrive at this conclusion? Well, as someone who had a degree of parental neglect, I can talk about the consequences that had on me. And I'm going to save you from that because I have many episodes about what happened to me throughout my channel. I'm not going to repeat myself. But say at your job, you may stop enjoying your job because since you are being neglected when it comes to your development, the development of your skills, being important for you to be reliable at your job and overall as a worker, your worker self-esteem remains high, things like that, that will begin to eat away at how you can enjoy life. Because since you are being neglected in that department, you feel that left behind feeling, and coping with your day-to-day becomes difficult. At home, if you are neglected at home, you may experience that feeling of, oh my God, although I am at home, I am restless. I am not peaceful. This feels like an extension of work. That is as simple as I can make it. If that still doesn't make sense, you're welcome, free to interpret things and go through things however it is that it pertains to you. But for anyone who tries to describe what the consequences of neglect are, if it helps you, sum it up like that. Try telling the next person who may not get it that you're losing the enjoyment of life, and try to describe how and why, just like I do here on the channel, pretty much. And my hope is that sometimes it's difficult for someone to understand something that they cannot relate to. So what better way than to have many different ways of expressing the same thing, the same idea. You can describe what it is that neglect did to you, but try defining it as opposed to describing it. So I feel like by me summing it up based on my personal experience, which is I have experienced an impact on how I can enjoy life, that's why I summarize it with that phrase, loss of enjoyment of life. And don't even try to explain it to them in some cases. Try to let them imagine and what they can come up with. And maybe that's what they need to ultimately get it.